Oh yeah, Andy, you do that so yeah, awesome. You reach awesome like so easy. The
Oh,
rest of us wish
absolutely.
we could be awesome too, like you.
Awesome is only just one, one little tick above where I operate normally. I'm normally incredible. So it's not quite awesome, but it's pretty close. So excellent. I've started the recording. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Wednesday evening Zoom call. I always get confused on the days. Just goes to show you don't have to be clever to do this. So welcome to our Wednesday evening Zoom call for Wealth Warriors. And what we're going to be talking about tonight is each of the individual platforms, a little bit about strategizing, a little bit about the benefits of the different platforms. But before that, I'll go through the disclaimer and a little bit of information about Wealth Warriors, who we are, why we are. That isn't really the purpose of this call or this video. If you have people who are interested in joining Wealth Warriors, then don't bring them on a Wednesday call. Don't let them watch this Wednesday video. Get them to come along on the Sunday or show them a Sunday made video because they go into Wealth Warriors in a lot more depth. It's quite a simple system, but it is very prescriptive. It's not something you can do half-heartedly. You either do it or don't do it. So you need to learn it. And I'm putting together now some training videos. I've been saying that now for a week. They're almost finished, but I keep interrupting myself, truth be told, with lots of different things. But the training videos will soon be posted, and it's a series of 4 videos that talks about all different aspects of Wealth Warriors, including questions and answers, role play, analysis via a spreadsheet, strategizing, cross-platform strategizing, and a few other clever bits and pieces I've managed to put together. So that's going to be good. But this call is really for seasoned wealth warriors, people who know what we're doing, what we're about, and are interested interested in that aspect. And I've just realized I was working on my presentation earlier and then closed it down, which isn't a smart idea on account of that's the presentation I want to give. So as soon as that's open, I will share my screen with you guys and we will get the presentation on the go. Many of you know the reason I like to use a PowerPoint presentation is simply because it keeps me on the straight and narrow. I don't wander off and talk about weird and wonderful things or just get lost in the weeds, which I have a habit of doing if I don't have any sort of system to follow. So here we are. Welcome to Wealth Warriors, and we've got a guy here raining Bitcoin. I don't know why he's chucking his Bitcoin around, but he is. And in the background there's images of villas and yachts and fast cars, and of course there's the Bitcoin chart showing Bitcoin going through the roof, which I just want to take a little bit of credit for. About 4 days ago, I posted a forecast for Bitcoin where it's going to go by about July, August time this year. And just to prove me right, Bitcoin's just jumped up 10% in the last 24 hours. So, it's back on track. I think it's back on track and is heading upwards to about 157,000, something like that by July time. That's the way I see it. I could be wrong, but I haven't been before. Oh, that sounds really arrogant, doesn't it? Okay, I could be wrong, but I don't think so. So, welcome to Wealth Warriors. We are financial freedom fighters, and we're financial freedom fighters in our own lives. And the reason is because if we don't do it in our own lives, nobody else is going to. The government don't want you to be financially free. The financial institutions you deal with, banks and insurance companies and so on, they don't want you to be financially free. Your teachers and your professors from college, they don't want you to be financially free. Okay, nobody wants you to be financially free. So if you don't do it for yourself, it won't get done. Okay, you only get one chance at this. That's not true. You can try and fail as many times as you like, but if you don't get on board with the fact that it's up to you, then by the end it's too late. Which is pretty much the definition of the end. So, quick disclaimer: nothing in this presentation is given as financial or investment advice. We're not an investment platform. We are a community. We do deal with online platforms. They might be seen as investment platforms. They might not. But they're all about making money. And we only deal with platforms that meet our strict criteria. And if you do decide to invest in any of the platforms discussed, only use money you can comfortably afford to lose. Do carry out your own due diligence. The presenter, that's me, do not hold myself out to be an employee or an agent of any of the companies mentioned herein. The only possible exception might be that eState do pay me to do a presentation on a Thursday. They pay me a little bit of money every month, and but that's not really me working for them. That's just a compensation for the time and effort I put in to produce their presentations. So what are these criteria that we have for adopting a platform? Well, one, it must be available in the whole world. Two, it must have a unilevel compensation plan. And three, people must be able to join either for free or get involved in a passive income program for a very low entry cost, i.e. around about $100. Now, the reason we want to do all of those three things straight off the bat is because we want to maintain lines of sponsorship. That's a fundamental part of Wealth Warriors, how we structure our businesses. We have the same people in the same positions in every single platform we're in. And if we can't achieve that because the platform won't allow us to do that because it's a binary or a forced matrix or some other weird and wonderful thing, then we can't get involved. It's as simple as that. And the platform must be based on real world applications. We were just talking about this before I started the video. It's got to be something where we can see what they're doing. You know, if they say they're trading, let's see the trading. If they say they're doing arbitrage, let's see the arbitrage. If they say it's real estate, let's see the real estate. Okay, we don't want to be in a position where we have to trust anybody, take anybody at their word. If they're doing it, they should be able to show us they're doing it. And if they don't, then we don't get involved. Sometimes there is a company involved. Sometimes it's not. It's just smart contracts. There is no company. The whole platform has been disavowed, which means that there's nobody running it. It's out there in the world, just existing under its own steam, under the steam of the smart contracts. In that case, we assess things differently. But if there's a company, we want to be able to verify the company's legal status and its business activities. You know, we can do that. Generally, we can do that from public records, financial filings, directors' reports, and just so many other tools at our disposal to check a company's validity. The compensation plan must be viable and sustainable. And the membership, all of us, must be able to get behind the project. So if it's gambling, we won't even look at it because I know there are some people who wouldn't get involved in something that's to do with gambling. And therefore, if we adopt a gambling platform, then we break lines of sponsorship because some people will say, I'm not doing it on religious grounds. Or some people, in fact, might do it on the grounds that, you know, they are recovering from a gambling problem, which somebody pointed out to me the other day, that's why they wouldn't be able to get involved in anything to do with gambling. So we're very mindful of that. So let's have a look at the platforms that we have got involved with. One of them is called the Republic of Old Souls. And they are basically a part of the freedom movement, and they offer these 6 different protocols at the moment. I was on a call with the one of the senior executives today, and they're talking about another, you know, adding more protocols to this. So, you know, as soon as that's available, I'll be telling you about it. I'm not going to go through in fact, yes, I might go through every single one, but just touch on some bullet points from each of these protocols. So you can sign up in the Republic of Old Souls. You can sign up as a member for free. As a free member, you get to find out what they do and how they do it. And if you want to take advantage of any of the services, you pay them some money, and now you're not just a member, you're a paid member. Okay, now they won't do things for you. What they will do is show you how to do it for yourself. Because if they do it for you, then that's a different type of business and they don't want to get involved in that type of business, but they're quite happy to make everything available for you to do it for yourself. What that means from your perspective is you need to understand and learn and study and take on board all this information if you're going to make money from it. And the money to be made is pretty significant, I should say. You don't automatically become an advocate or an affiliate. An advocate is like an affiliate. Okay, so you don't get that automatically. You can be a free member or a paid member forever and never introduce anybody at all to the Republic of Old Souls. But if you want to introduce people, then you ask to become an advocate, and you can introduce members. Or if you want to introduce members and introduce advocates, then you become an advocate originator. And there are different commission structures for each of these different levels. You receive upfront commissions when one of your members pays for a service, and when they recoup their money, when they get whatever protocol they're using to get money, you'll receive a percentage of that when it comes through in 6 months, 8 months, a year, however long it takes. So the first protocol is the envoy protocol, and the envoy protocol is a firm favorite because it's the one thing that you can do that will get you out of the control of your local government, the financial institutions, and anybody and everybody. Basically, you become a sovereign person, a person, not a citizen, a separate person who is sorry, a separate entity who is not under the control of anything else. Okay, so it's called correcting your status and standing. Um, and so you can do that. And one of the things on offer is to become a church envoy. So the Republic of All Souls is registered as a church, and so you can become an envoy and a diplomat. So as a diplomat, you are exempt from all the local rules and regulations in the place where you live, in the same way that an envoy or a diplomat from another country is not held to account by the local state that they're visiting. They are protected from that. They're shielded by international law. Okay, then we have an asset fortress protocol, and this is clever because it's actually where you can take all of your assets and put them into something called a private trust, and those assets then are untouchable by anybody else. You don't need to pay taxes on them. You don't you're not accountable to anybody else for those things. You don't own them anymore. They're owned by the trust. That's why that you don't need to pay taxes or any other types of expenses on your assets, because you don't own them anymore, but you do have the right to use them. And so you can also arrange for your beneficiaries to also have the right to use them, so that when you're not using them anymore, somebody else can use them, and there's no tax involved in transferring it, or transferring the use of that property, that yacht, that helicopter, that car, whatever it is, to your beneficiaries. So you own nothing, but you control everything, which is a good position to be in. And we all have this idea that, we want to make it big. We want to be somebody by owning lots of things. But by owning lots of things, it creates lots of problems. And when you understand that, and you realize you can have all of the prestige and all of the benefits without having any of the hassle, you think that sounds like something I want to look into. So you can shield assets from seizure or from taxation. The infinite money protocol, this is one most people focus on straight away. And it's basically an infinite money loop where you receive money and you spend money and then you receive money again. I'll show you very briefly how it works. I'm looking at a strategy a bit later in a few slides time, so I won't go into this in too much detail. So you recoup your transmissions, so money spent from your bank accounts. You fill in all the forms and send it in, and a few months later you recoup all of that money back in again. Right now, you can recoup for the years 2023, 2024, and 2025. So it's a rolling 3-year period. And so at the end of this year, in January 2027, you'll be able to claim for 2026. By about August or so of this year, it's going to be getting a little bit too late to to start the process for 2023. Okay, it takes a few months, and so probably wouldn't, if you started it in August, you probably missed 2023. So if you're thinking of doing it for 2023, aim to get it started in May, June, July time. That's my advice. That is advice. So the cost is £1,000, pounds sterling, and a business account costs you £1,500. In dollars, that's about $1,300 and about $1,900. You complete the forms online in your Republic of Old Souls platform, and then you upload copies of bank statements and things like that in the right format with the right information highlighted, and that's it. Off it goes, and the next thing you know is that you've recouped that money. There's something called a mortgage liberation protocol, and a mortgage liberation protocol is discharging your current mortgages. So if you have a mortgage in the property you live, or if you have some commercial properties or some rental properties and you have mortgages on those, you can discharge all of them. And then depending on how what size that mortgage is, will determine how much you pay. But it's typically around about £2,000 for a sort of an average size mortgage. If you had a mortgage on a skyscraper, it would probably cost you a little bit more than that. Okay, so you would need to, and also they do special offers on these prices. They do special offers once in a while. So you might go on a seminar and they say if you do this month, it's only going to cost you this much. So keep an eye out for that as well. Mortgage redemption. Now, mortgage redemption is different from mortgage discharging the mortgage. This is mortgages you've had in the past that have since been settled because you either sold the property and the money you got from selling it, you've now settled the mortgage, or maybe you've just paid it off over 25 or 30 years. So these are mortgages that are paid up, and you can follow the process to recoup the value of that mortgage. In fact, you claim back 3 times the value of that mortgage. So if you had a $200,000 mortgage that you're recouping, then or redeeming, then you would claim back. You would recoup, or you would apply to recoup $600,000. Okay, and it goes back 25 years. So mortgages that you had back to 2001. There are forms available for you to complete, and you can upload the information. Again, just upload copies of mortgage agreements, mortgage statements, this sort of thing. And again, a sliding scale depending on the size of the mortgage. And there's a commerce protocol because so many people are actually involved in business. How do we take our business out of all of this control, reporting taxes and financial reporting every year and so on and so forth? Okay, there is a protocol for doing that. So you take your business out and it becomes a part of your ministry as an envoy, as a church advocate, and you use that ministry bank account to receive tax-free donations. And then you make gifts to your asset shelter, and then you fund your spending from the trust that's in your asset shelter. So that's how you get your money into your business and out to you for spending. Perfectly legal, perfectly legitimate. This is how churches and other similar organizations do this all over the world. And then you can spend and recoup every year going forward, as you can with the infinite money loop. So this is how you can create an ongoing cycle of abundance. So people like to see this in progress. This is my bank recoupment from 2022 and 2023. This item here, funds received to be actioned. That's the last item on the list. So what's happened so far is I filled in all the paperwork and we've got an agreement sent in. We filed an OID filing to let the Inland Revenue in America know that I want this much money. And they've put the money on the transcript, which means they've agreed with me and they put the money aside to be paid. Then I had to send a second filing to say, thank you very much for putting the money aside. Can I have it, please? And now I'm just waiting for that to be actioned. Some of you may know that between middle of September and now, there's been a few things that have happened. One is the US government shut down for a little while. 2, the tax department goes on a go slow in November and December because they divert all of their personnel to do other things coming up to the end of the tax year. And 3, we had Christmas and New Year. So everybody in the IRS got back to work properly on the 4th of January, I think, this year. And it's now only the 14th. So we need to give them a little bit more time to sort this out. This one, surprisingly, this one here was processed on the 25th of November, which amazed me because I didn't think there was anybody in the office during that period of time. But I'm just waiting for that as well to be paid out. So similar sort of process. It's just taken a little while to get there. So let's look at a strategy. And when I talk about strategies, I'm not suggesting this is the only way of doing it. I'm just trying to open your mind a little bit to don't just do steps A, B, C, D, E. You might want to say, well, if I do step A and I do it this way, then I can achieve this. And then my goal is that. So I'll do, do it in a different way. That's what I'm trying to do is get you to think about how you can use these tools to achieve what you want. So let's imagine you pay £1,000 to recoup your bank account from 2023, and let's suppose you're recouping something like $125,000. That's kind of average. I'd be surprised if it's much less than that. Then you'd receive that money within 4 to 6 months. That's the expectation. It's not happened that way just yet. We're still finalising processes that were changed at the end of last year, but this is where we're going to be going forward. You deposit into your bank account, and then you pay 2,000. So once it's in your bank account, of course, you're going to start spending it, and then you pay $2,000 to recoup payments from the same bank the following year and the following year. So then you receive that money within 4 to 6 months, and then you deposit that money into your bank account so that you can spend it in 2025 and 2026 and rinse and repeat. So this is where you get this infinite money loop from. So that's all I really wanted to say about Republic of Old Souls. Let's talk about BitNex a little bit. BitNex is a crypto investment company. It's actually something called staking. And staking is where you put your money into a pot. They use that money for different things, and the people that utilize that money pay you some, I was going to say some interest. It's not really interest. It's they'll give you a return on your money. So I'll give you money back plus a little bit of profit. And you may not know this, but your bank actually do this with your money every day anyway, even without your permission. If you've got money in your bank account, it's not just sat there doing nothing. We all have this idea there's like a shoebox on the shelf with our dollars or our pounds or our yen sat in the shoebox. That's not the case. The bank lend your money quite happily through interbank lending, overnight lending, construction lending, all sorts of things. And they lend it literally for a few hours. Overnight lending is, I think, is a 10-hour period. They lend money to other banks. They lend money to big corporations, and they can earn up to 7% per day by doing that. And you know how much they give you? I know how much my bank gives me, and it's nothing. Okay, so that's staking. It's just that it's being done with my money without my consent and without me actually knowing anything about it. Whereas with BitNex, I'm doing it consciously. I'm saying, here you go, BitNex, have some money, and go and make me some more money. However, it doesn't work quite like that, and I'll show you why. The headquarters is in Singapore and in the Cayman Islands. It's been around since 2018, and a lot of people have made a lot of money with BitNex. Now, if I wanted to put $100 into a staking program, and I'm going to get, say, 0.5% a day, which is pretty good, 0.5% a day, it's a good return. But on my $100, that's 50 cents a day. I don't think anybody's going to get excited about 50 cents a day. Sorry, did I get that right? 0.5%? Yep, 50 cents a day. But what happens with BitNex is you don't put your $100 in to do the staking. You put it into a smart contract. So your $100 or $1,000 is used to set up the contract, and the contract then says to a bank, "Can you give me some money, please, so as I can stake it?" And they say, "Yeah, sure." Now, if you've got a contract, a certain type of contract, you'll get $30,000, and not you, the contract will. And if it's a different type of contract, you get $43,000. That's the money that is used to generate your profits. And 0.5% on $30,000 is a lot more than 0.5% on your $100. Okay, so the setup fee, as well as arranging the loan from the bank says, well, what guarantees have we got we're going to get our money back? And the smart contract says, well, I'm going to take out an insurance loan. I'm going to take out an insurance policy so that if anything goes wrong, you will definitely get your money back. And the bank says, that's good enough for me. So the smart contract takes out a loan through the insurance company, and then it puts your money to work. Once that's all in place, it puts your money to work every day. Your $30,000 or $43,000 is earning 0.5%, 0.6%, 0.7% every single day. And that's why you get so a good return. So then as you accrue profits, at the end of the month, you have to pay the insurance premium for the following month. And then at the end of the year, you've got to pay the bank interest for the money you borrowed for the last year. And that all comes out of your profits. But there's more than enough money in there to pay for the profits, or pay those out of the profits, I should say. And it does that for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, or 7 years. And at the end of the contract, the loan is repaid. The insurance policy becomes not dormant, it's finished. If you don't have the loan, then you don't need the insurance. And so that's all paid up, and then whatever's left is yours. So let's see what you might have left. There are basically 4 different types of contract, and they're only different because they operate on different time frames. So the DeFi Hybrid 24 runs for 24 months. The DeFi Hybrid 36 runs for 36 months. I'm sure you get the idea of that. But because the profits accrue kind of exponentially, the price of the bank interest and the price of the insurance policy stays constant, but your money increases, your profits increase the amount of money you've got staked for you. And therefore, after a certain period, you get this exponential growth. So where you have a 24-month contract, you can expect to walk away with over $20,000. Where you have a 36-month contract, you started with the same amount of money, but it's gone on longer, and you get that exponential growth kick in a little bit. So you can expect to walk away with $35,000. The DeFi Hybrid 60, again, that exponential growth has really taken off in the last 2 years of that 5-year contract, and you can walk away with almost $500,000. And the DeFi Hybrid 84, that's a 7-year contract, and that's just crazy money, because the amount that you're making every single month is the bank interest every year and the insurance money every month pales into insignificance compared to how much profit you're making every single day. When you've got $500,000 working for you, $1 million working for you at 0.5%, then a couple of $100 here and there is peanuts. So that's how you get this exponential growth. Now, there are a couple of other options. What they've done is they've said, well, if you want to really ramp up your growth, then we'll sell you 15 contracts and you'll only pay for 10, which is DeFi Hybrid pack 24 pack or DeFi Hybrid 36 pack. So if you look at those figures that I've just given you and you multiply that first one by 15, that's what you get for the second one. Okay, 20,000 times 15 is over 300,000. And 35,000 times 15 is over 520,000. So what I like about those is that you get a 50% increase in your earning power on day one. Okay, so you've got 15 contracts, but you've only paid for 10, and that's a great deal. So this is real. We know people that have been cashing in their contracts. I don't know how much of my story to tell, but I was very reluctant when I first got involved. So I thought, well, let's just put $100 in, see what happens. And I really, really deeply regret that. I wish at that time, I actually had enough money that I could have bought as many contracts as I could. I was allowed to take out 130 contracts, and I took out 1. And I really regret that, because all the indications are, and people I've met along the way are, they're all receiving their payouts. Not only that, if there were no payouts since 2018, the internet would be absolutely full of people telling you that this doesn't work. So the fact there's nobody saying that really indicates that it's a genuine thing. It's really happening. So the profit on my first contract after 20, so I put $100 in after 29 months, that the bank loan has earned me another $22,795, and I earn $58 every day. So let's have a look at that. So this is it up the top here. This is my, so that's not that contract. This is all of my contracts. I've got 39 contracts now. Where am I? There we go. So for my 39 contracts, they've borrowed between them, they've borrowed 1.2 million, and I've got nearly 1.4 million, including all my profit. And I made yesterday, what day is the day? Wednesday. So yesterday, Tuesday, I made $1,127 in profit across all of my contracts, which is crazy because I think from my own pocket, I've only put in about $300. So that's not bad. Put in $300 and I'm making $1,000 a day. Now I don't get any of this until the contract period ends. Then I get all of it in one go. But if you introduce some people to this, then when their contract, well, when they take out a contract initially, part of that initial setup is that you get you get a commission, and then at the end, when their contract pays out, you also get a commission. So it's worth introducing other people. You know, if you're thinking, well, I can make $20,000 in 2 years. Where else can you save up $20,000 in 2 years and it costs you $100? I can't think of anywhere. You know, I know plenty of people who put 100 pounds a week or $100 a week into a savings fund ready for Christmas, and you know, but by the time they get there, they've got 3,000 or 4,000, and that's you know, that's every week. By the time they get there, they've got about $4,000. You know, but that's every week, not a one-off payment of $100. So this is all of my different contracts. The 24-month contracts are there, the 36-month contracts are there, the 84-month contracts are there. So after 1 year, yeah, I started adding that. Now my total stake balance for me, earning for me every day, is 1.374 million. And these 39 contracts have earned me 1,127. That was yesterday, on Tuesday this week. My last week, Monday to Friday last week, I earned nearly $7,000. And last month being the month of December, always a slow month, I only made $31,000 then. So that's a bit slow, isn't it? You know, I know some of you would have to work all week to make that sort of money, but I'm quite pleased with that. Okay, so I just mentioned this. Our upline have arranged for us to have a free landing page, so you can take this wallet, so this link, I should say, take this link, and then once you've registered with BitNext, you take your wallet ID and put it instead of there where it says your wallet ID. Okay, and when you are logged in, you'll see this in the top right of the page. Okay, and that's your wallet ID. So you can take that number, substitute it in there. That's your landing page. You send that whole link to some people. They will go on there. They'll be able to see some videos, some PDF documents, read some words about how it happens, see some evidence of somebody who's withdrawn some money. Okay, and all sorts of different stuff that you will help them understand how it works and the fact that it's a real opportunity. When they click join now, they will join your BitNext business. So that's a great thing to have. Like I say, it's free of charge. Normally it's a bit of a hassle to set up landing pages, but this one's produced for us free of charge. So I'm not going to go through these strategies because there are quite a few of them, but I'm just going to talk very quickly about charitable giving, and I'm going to talk about this one. I like this one. I'm ever so sorry. So this charitable giving, okay, so you're thinking, well, I want to donate $100, but I want it to be, you know, get the biggest bang for my buck. So you put that into strategy one, you put $100 into a 3-year contract, and you walk away with 35,000 in 3 years' time. So at that point, then you find, or you spend the intervening 3 years finding 35 people who you would like to bless. Now, bear in mind, you're not blessing them with your money. This is profit. This is money you put aside specifically for this strategy. So after that 3 years, you can buy 35 people a $1,000 pack of contracts. And by having 35 people register with you on your front line and buying a $1,000 pack of contracts, you actually receive back in commissions $10,500. So you started with 100 and you get 35 and you think, I'm going to give all this away. And then all of a sudden, a third of it comes back to you. You think, I can't even give this stuff away. Then after 3 years, 35 people will all receive over $500,000. Can you imagine if you had 35 peasant farmers in Africa, peasant fishermen in the Philippines, outback farmers who are scratching to make a living, people in Africa, I don't know, just all over the world. People need more resources. Can you imagine what would happen to a little village in Africa if all of a sudden somebody had an extra $500,000? All of a sudden they'd be buying everybody in the village $1,000 pack of contracts, and in 3 years' time, everybody will get $500,000. Okay, but also what happens is when those people receive, those 35 people get their $500,000, you also get a commission of 1.5 million. So, like I say, you can't give the stuff away. This is something you could just keep doing over and over and over and over. There's no reason why not. People want to know what's the fastest way of building BitNex. It's to put $100 into a 2-year contract. Then after 2 years, you buy as many contracts as you can. And I'm saying buy 5 $1,000 packs of contracts. So that's 75 contracts. But then you've still got, so that's only costing you $5,000. You've still got $16,000 you can go and do something else with. Maybe put it into, an infinite money protocol with Republic of Old Souls. Maybe put some money into your Lumex business we'll be talking about in a minute. Okay, maybe put it into real estate. We'll be talking about that briefly. So you've got $16,000 to play around with. But then after 2 years, you're going to receive 1.6 million, which if that's your income, if that's the only source of income you've got, then you've got to make it last. You've got to survive on just under $900,000 per year. Not sure if you can, but I think if you pull your belt in a little bit, you could struggle by on $900,000 a year. But you can also buy, as well as worrying about that, then you buy yourself 5 more $1,000 packs. So now that you've gone for the 3 years and spend the remaining 1.6 million, and then after 3 years, you're going to get 2.6 million. And now you've got to make that 2.6 million last. You've got to make it last 3 years. So you're still on an income of 877,000 per year, which is kind of an interesting thing. Unless I've messed my numbers up, that's an interesting thing to note. I'm not going to go into this because time's gotten away with us again. I'm not going to talk about Veralio. We're going to jump straight over to eEstate. There is a 4-page letter I've received from the owner of Veralio, and I'll put it out in the Wealth Warriors group. But the long and the short of it is that they're still not happy with the way it's performing, so it's not available for general release at the moment. So eEstate, let's talk about eEstate. It's basically a platform where you can register as a buyer and you can buy a share of a property, and the property has been tokenized, so it's all done. It's not just some people saying, come and buy a timeshare or come and buy a share of this. It's all done through the blockchain. The money that's paid is done on the blockchain. The contract is written on the blockchain. So it's all completely secure, and that contract gives you a legal title to a share of that property. So it's based on fractional ownership of real estate. This has been around for about 10 years, and a lot of traditional businesses, if you like, have struggled to make it in the crossover onto the online or the digital world. So although tokenized real estate has been around for nearly 11 years now, it's not really made the transition into the digital world. But now eEstate have addressed that, because we have access to tokenized real estate at a level that we can afford, not at a level that, they originally with tokenized real estate, they were saying to big investors, instead of spending 50 million on a skyscraper, why not spend 50 million on a tokenized skyscraper? So, it was kind of missing the point. Whereas this is really what tokenized real estate is all about. We all can get involved in as many different properties in as many different parts of the world as we want, without all of the drawbacks of a traditional real estate business. And if you don't know what they are, check my YouTube channel, because I made a video about it about 3 weeks ago. A property is divided into a number of fractions, and that number of EST tokens is allocated to that property. Now, I don't normally get involved in things that have weird and wonderful tokens. I'm just inherently opposed to it. But I understand why they have their own token, EST token. And that is because if they were to value these properties in, for example, Bitcoin, and say, right, this property right now, we're going to put it out to the members, and we've divided it into this many Bitcoin or Satoshis or whatever denomination they want to use. Okay. As the price of Bitcoin changes, which they have no control over, the price of that property would vary. And so if I bought I don't know, let's suppose I bought a 1% share of a villa today, and I paid the equivalent of $1,000, tomorrow you might pay the equivalent of $1,500 for exactly the same thing. So that's not fair. So what they've done is they've said, we're going to have our own token, and that token is pegged directly to the price of the real estate. So when we say this property is worth this many tokens, that's it. It's fixed now. Nothing's going to change that for all of eternity. That property was fixed at that price, and of course they'll sell it within a few months, maybe. So you know, it's not a long-term problem, but it holds that value until it's all sold, which I like. And so through the website, you can buyers can purchase as many of those tokens as they want. You could buy the whole lot for one property if you want to. You can get involved as a buyer or an agent, and buyers earn passively. You may know I like to have programs that have a passive income. They also have some team building, and this has exactly that. So buyers are basically the passive income earners, and agents earn commissions. So agents introduce buyers, and they can also introduce buyers, agents as well, and they earn commissions from the purchase of their clients. And a buyer can become an agent. I'd recommend that you do that if you're thinking of introducing somebody at some point. Then you may as well become an agent first, and then when you buy your first property as a buyer, so you qualify as an agent, go become a buyer, and then go and buy your first property. Then you, as the agent, receives the commissions for buying the property that you bought as a buyer. So it's just a smart move, in my opinion. However, there is a consideration. An agent must pay a small subscription fee, $9 a month. And only agents can introduce people because they're given a referral link. Buyers are not given a referral link. The transactions are written as smart contracts, and each contract is fully visible on the blockchain. So it never goes, as you know about the blockchain, it never disappears. And that contract is fully compliant, is legal. So you can take a copy of that. Like, in fact, what I do is every time I purchase a property, I sign the contract, then I download a copy and keep it safe. I bought a property today, and I can show you the contract I downloaded. In fact, sorry, I didn't. When I went to download it, I hadn't processed yet. But I've got one contract now to download and keep it safe. Okay, and I suggest everybody does that. And the property is the fraction of the property is backed by real estate. Okay, you can have access to where the properties are. You can go and have a look at the apartments in Miami, or the villas in Florida, or the business development deals in Australia, or the apartments in Dubai. You can go and see them. It's not a secret where they are. And as you earn profits, you can hold your EST to buy more property, or you can take it out. It takes I think the other day I converted my EST into USDT in my e-wallet on my e-estate account, and took it out as Bitcoin. And before I'd even logged into my Ledger Live account to see how long it's going to take the Bitcoin to get there, it was there. I mean, that's pretty fast. For Bitcoin, that's very fast. I was impressed with that. So you can you can deposit in many different cryptocurrencies. You can withdraw in many different cryptocurrencies. I'm not going to talk about ETK. Buyer benefits, you earn great profit during the active phase, the first 18 months. So you receive profit every single day, Monday to Friday, for 18 months. And then it drops, depending what property it is, you either get all your initial money back, or you then start getting a dividend at 10% per year. which is a lot more than Microsoft and Tesla are paying. So I've just covered that. I'm trying to speed things up a little bit. You can choose to receive your daily profits to your wallet for withdrawal or for reinvesting, or you can choose to auto compound. And if you auto compound, let's suppose you purchase a part of a property for $1,000 and you auto compound, by the end of the 18 months, you don't just own $1,000 worth now, you own something like $3,500 worth of that property. And so when that goes into the 10% ongoing dividend every year, it's not 10% of the 1,000 that you put in originally, it's 10% of the 3,500, which is now the share that you own. So that's how auto compounding works. But I do some auto compounding and I do some not auto compounding, so I can withdraw the money, and I can also show people how easy it is to buy a contract. I can't do that if I haven't got any money in my e-wallet. Agent benefits: you earn commissions from your own purchases and those of your buyers and agents. When you pass the test, you can become a licensed real estate agent, digital real estate agent, and you can get a certificate, print off a certificate and put it on the wall. You have a customizable landing page. I've not customized yet, but a lot of people do. So when people go to your landing page, it says all sorts of nice things about you. You know, the most dynamic, successful, low-calorie, rust-resistant agent the world's ever seen, whatever you want to say about yourself. You receive deal commissions, profit commissions, and agent bonuses, and e-token rewards. So you get commissions when properties are purchased within your network of people. You also get profit commissions when they start earning their profits, and you get different bonuses based on the size of your business. And then there's a list of tasks, and as you complete those tasks, you get e-token rewards. So it's well structured and well put together. I'm not going to go into this any more than I've just done. Yeah, and there are special offers available. They make a big deal of them, so go and grab them as quickly as you can if you want them. This is a great opportunity to deposit some money, purchase a property, get your investment back within 7 months, thereabouts. Some a bit quicker, some not quite so quick. Continue earning at that level for another 11 months, and then receiving 10% of your initial investment per year for the rest of your life. And this fits our criteria because you can get in for a very low amount, build up your asset base over a long period of time. Property is as safe as houses. So here's a strategy: invest 100,000 in estate and buy a development property. The ROI is 5 months, so you get your 100,000 back within 5 months. The remaining 13 months during the active phase is 231,500. So the returns during the 18-month active phase, both of those added together, is 331,000. Then at the end of the 18-month period, this particular development property will return your original capital, which means that you've actually turned $100,000 into $431,000. That's pretty neat. That's a 431% gain in 18 months. So that's one strategy. You might not have $100,000 to play with, and you need to get into some of these bigger deals. You need more money. So the bigger the property, then the more money you need to get involved. But the smaller properties, you can get involved for the minimum of 117. Here's another strategy: invest any amount in estate and buy a property, any property. So this is kind of generic strategy, if you like. And every time you accumulate $117, buy another property. That's a share of an apartment in downtown Miami, or possibly downtown. You'd have to be quick if you're one of the ones in Seattle. They're selling out. They'll probably sell out in the next day or two. Then every time you accumulate another $117, withdraw it. And when you every time you accumulate another $117, buy another property. After 5 years, you're going to have withdrawn 200 times your investment. You're going to have accumulated property worth 200 times your original investment. You're going to be receiving 500% of your investment every year as dividends. So up here where I said invest any amount, if that was 1,000, okay, or 10,000 or whatever it is, you're going to be getting all of these benefits. So that's a different strategy. So Lumex Lumex is a staking platform, but you can see every single transaction. We were talking about this just before this video started, that I don't like platforms that I can't see what's happening. If they say they're trading, let's see the trading. If they say it's arbitrage, let's see the arbitrage. Okay, if they say it's real estate, let's see the real estate. Okay, I'm a kind of, I forget the name of the state in America that I should be from, the show me state. Okay, so if it's, and Lumex are doing different types of arbitrage, and you can see it in the back office. My friend Walter, who's my co-host today, my lovely assistant, was telling me that he used a particular feature of Lumex, the Lumex exchange. Somebody did use it as an exchange, and at that time, because that person was in his group, Walter was able to see that he earned some money at exactly that time that that transaction was done through the exchange. So it's good to be able to check out the fact that when they say you're getting this money, you actually are. So everything's available on the blockchain. There are lots of AI engines involved with Lumex. It's not just one. And they have at least 6 different types of arbitrage. They also have crypto trading, and they have exchange fees. So you can earn from all of these different ways of making money. The exchange is a very inexpensive way to convert your crypto from one coin to another. A typical cost, I've been told, I haven't done it myself, but I've been told that it's about 1 cent per transaction. And that was on a Bitcoin transaction. So if you want to know why it's a good it's a good idea to join Lumex, there are 12 reasons here. I'm going to touch on them very quickly. One is that there's an automatic withdrawal. You don't have to leave your money in the platform. Every $5 you make, it gets pushed back to your own wallet. So it's out of the system. If something goes wrong with the system, you've had your money back. You earn every few seconds. This is what you can see in the back office. Is just a non-stop scrolling of all this information that is about making money. And it's available 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. You can stake for 7, 30, 90, 180, or 360 days. The longer the period that you stake, then the better the returns, because you get a better interest rate. Minimum staking amount of 100 in all the options. It doesn't matter how long. So you can get into a really good interest rate for only $100. It's brilliant. You can withdraw with some of the contracts, depending how much you put in, you can withdraw up to 50% of the principal after 50% of the staking period. So that might be that you have an emergency and you think, well, I don't want to withdraw all of my money. In fact, with a lot of programs, you can't withdraw any money. But you say, well, I need a couple of $1,000 and I need it in a hurry. So you just click a couple of buttons and convert some of that money to be able to go back into your wallet. And I think it takes a day or a couple of days, and then it's available for you to spend. So all profit generating activities are fully visible. You can earn from 8 forms of arbitrage. Yeah, so my slide was wrong. There's 8 forms of arbitrage. It's real crypto anti-tracking mixing engine service, which sounds like lots of words just strung together. But if you are interested in privacy on the internet, then you need to consider this very, very carefully. There are whole coins. People are trying to build whole ecosystems in such a way that governments and financial institutions can't track where your money's coming from and where it's going to where it's going. But here you have an exchange that does that for you. Once money has been through this exchange, it's completely untraceable where it came from. So I'm not going to say any more about that. You earn unilevel daily earnings down 6 levels, and you can earn team profit override down to infinity, and you can earn between 10% and 80%. That's just enormous. Okay, just enormous. There are global company offices, and there are regular Zoom calls every weekday, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So that's good reasons why you should join Lumex. Here's a strategy for Lumex. Invest any amount in Lumex and buy a star core contract. Every time you accumulate $100, you can buy another contract. Every time you accumulate another $100, withdraw it. So if you start with the $1,000, now you may notice, I should have pointed this out, you may notice that being able to buy another $100 contract or withdraw $100 is determined by how long it's going to take you to make $100, which in turn is determined by how much money you put in the first place. So let's look at a couple of examples. One is if you start with $1,000, you'll get your money back within 70 days. After another 70 days, you'll be able to buy a new contract. So you make your $1,000. Oh, I apologize, that's not true. $1,000, that's right. Sorry, yes. No, I've completely messed this up. Okay, it doesn't matter. So the idea is you buy another contract, then after another period of time you can withdraw $100. You've now got more you've got more contracts earning more money, so that time frame shortens. So after another 35 days, you can buy another contract, which means that you've got more contracts working for you to make more money. And yes, I completely messed this up. I think that was meant to be $100. If you start with $100, that's what you get, which makes sense. Okay, so let's forget that one. But I think if you look at this again and say, if you start with $100, all of those other figures work out. It takes 70 days to get your capital back, 70 days to get another $100 to buy a new contract. But now you've got two contracts, so it only takes 35 days until you get another $100 to withdraw, and then another $100 to buy another contract, which means you've now got three contracts. So then again, I have messed those figures up because here it's not here is not another 17 days. It's something like 26 days, 24 days. Okay, you can withdraw 100, 24 days, you buy another contract, and so on. So that's what happens with $100. With $10,000, you get your money back within 70 days. But it only takes 7 days for you now to earn $100 to buy a new contract. But now you've got more contracts making you more money, so you can withdraw in a shorter time period. And so eventually it's going to get to the point where you can buy a new $100 contract every single day, or withdraw $100 every single day. And this is operating risk-free because after 70 days, you've got your money back. Now, you may not want to do that. You may say, well, I'm going to go through a growth period first. Then when I'm making $100 a day, that's when I'll take my $10,000 back. You may do that. So there we are. That's the 5 different platforms we have at the moment. Viralio is still a little bit of a thorn in our side. We're just waiting for that to get sorted. If not, then we're pretty much going to replace that. I am also looking at another program that looks really fun to do, where you can earn free Bitcoin every single day. It's called Bitman, and you can literally join it for free. The reason you make money is you have to do some simple tasks every day. Takes about 3 minutes, and you earn some satoshis. So if you wanted to be free, if you know some people who would like to have a free business, and you want to use that then to attract them into your Wealth Warriors business, where you can then show them these other platforms, then that's going to be a good one. There's going to be a lot of people get involved in that. It's going to be a good one for us to have. You can also buy a membership for a few dollars a month, or a one-off payment of $100. You can get a founder spot. So I'm going to be I've registered in that. I'm checking it out at the moment, and if it's suitable, which I think it will be, it won't be something we do on a massive scale, but it will be really, really good for us to have something that we can offer people for free, where they can earn a little bit of Bitcoin every single day, and it basically brings them into our sphere of influence to talk to them about other things. So that's going to be really good, I think. There are other good businesses. So if John's on the call, I do apologize, John, but I'm way over time, so I'm going to skip by. But Uchain is a good business. It just doesn't meet our criteria. And it operates as a trading bot. So you buy, I say there, you buy a trading bot. You actually buy a license to trade, if you like. So you need two things. One is the license to trade, and that's in amounts of, say, $110, $1,100, $1,100. I think that's kind of the denominations. And then you also have a trading fund, and the trading fund is used to generate profit, and it depends on what type of bot you've got, whether you get 3 times return a 5 times return, 4.5 times return, whatever it is. Okay, so it's a good trading bot. So if you want to see some activity, then typically you would want to have an $1,100 bot and $11,000 in your trading account, and that will give you your $11,000 will be returned to you three times over. I think there's a special offer on right now that's returned to you 4 times over within a short period of time. Okay, there's no guarantees that it's going to be 4 months, 5 months, a year, but it is a reasonably short period of time. If you're only trading with a small amount of money, then it takes much longer. But if you're trading with more money, then you can make more money quicker. But once the bot has returned to you that multiple of your income, sorry, of your trading fund, then you need to buy another bot. Okay, so just to make you aware of that. I'm not going to talk about my registration system. That's kind of on hold at the moment. So a quick reminder, we are building a solid foundation on which we can base our financial futures. We're not relying on any one platform. We're trying to work smart across many different platforms, so they should all complement each other. We try not to have more than one platform that's involved in one particular activity, for example, trading or arbitrage or real estate. You know, we wouldn't get into a second real estate business because what's the point? We've got everything we need in the one we've got. And if something happens to online real estate businesses, it only affects one of our platforms, not all of them, you know, not 3 or 4 of them. So we want a solid foundation. We only work with companies who are in it for the long term, and we only work with companies that are above board, as far as we can tell. Of course, we are strategizing. We're strategizing a little bit more cleverly so that we don't rely on platforms being around forever. So we kind of hedge our bets. We say, well, if we put ourselves in a position where if they last for a while, we make good money. But if they go before that point, then yes, we lose some money, but we've got back all of our money that we put in. We've also made some profit. So we always aim to leave with more than we arrived. But the idea is that we do have some platforms that are going to last a long time, and we build a large asset over a period of time. And that asset could be real estate, it could be contracts, it could be bots, it could be well, yeah, anything really. Whatever the platform is offering us, we want a lot of them. Only platforms that meet our criteria are even considered. And it does annoy people. I know it annoys people when they present to me their favorite platform, you know, the one they've sold their whole heart and soul to. And I look at that and I say, sorry, it doesn't meet our criteria. And they say, yes, but it's been paying me for 2 years. Yes, but it doesn't meet our criteria. And the thing is, if we get involved in things that are not quite a good fit, those are the ones that will cause us more problems. We want all of our platforms to be dovetailed together so that we can build 15, 20, 25 different platforms with absolutely minimal effort. If we have to do something different with every single platform, then it's a chore, and we would not be able to grow your business, your community, anywhere near as quickly as we're going to. So finally, it's important to remain safe on the internet and in the world of online opportunities at all times. Do not share your passwords or other credentials with anyone. And where it's available, set up your 2FA on your accounts. Your two-factor authentication is the only layer of protection in your security arrangements that you have control over. So use it. Don't rely on the company at all, ever. Okay, companies are inherently unreliable. So make sure if you have this feature available, make sure you set it up. Back up your passwords and your 2FA codes in a secure location. Write it down. Don't rely on storing it on your computer, because if it's your computer that goes kaput, then you've lost all of that. Okay, so write it down, keep it safe. Personally, I keep it in a safe. Make sure the executors of your will, your living will, your power of attorney, or your beneficiaries have access to this information in the event of your incapacitation or death. So here we are then, the happy man with the yacht and the car and the house and the villa and Bitcoin price. And the last thing I'll say to you is get back to the person who invited you on this call or referred you to this video. They are ready and waiting to help you avoid scams, protect your permanent network of friends, neighbors, family, and so on, and create immense personal wealth. That's what they're prepared to do to help you. That's what Wealth Warriors is all about. So I'm coming back to the room now. I'm going to switch off the recording because it's already over an hour, and then we can have questions and answers or just a general discussion. Before I do that, I just want to thank everyone for being here. I do appreciate you being here. Nice to see my lovely assistant Walter there. And I'll be doing a Zoom call tomorrow evening, Thursday evening, for e-estate. I will also be doing that's a different link entirely, and I'll be doing a Zoom call on Sunday evening for Wealth Warriors, not about the platforms, but about the structure of Wealth Warriors itself. And that will be the same link as this. So 10 o'clock UK time, I shall look forward to seeing you there. God bless. See you on the next one.
I want to see you win. I want to see you absolutely smash every single dream you have. I want to see you overcome all of the barriers you face, and I want to see you succeed. I'm your biggest fan, your top supporter, and I'll be with you every single step of the way. You're destined for greatness, with or without me, and I want to see you achieve. Your potential is limitless, and your determination is inspiring. Keep striving for your goals, and I'll continue to cheer you on.